Hey everybody, it's Miss Calkins. We are going to add one more component to our scientific notation unit today, and that is going to be multiplying and dividing numbers in scientific notation. You are going to want to use a calculator for this part. If we were still going forward in our class and we were taking EOGs, this would have been a calculator active section for sure. So make sure you have some kind of calculator to help you figure out some of these. Technically, you could plug in, like for number one, this whole problem just like it is and find your answer in the calculator. The only difference is you would have to change it into scientific notation in the end. But we're going to kind of do some of this by hand, and then you could do some by calculator. So if you notice, these are two numbers written in scientific notation that we're multiplying together. So here's kind of what I want you to think about when you're doing this. You can group together the two factors and rewrite this as 2 times 3. So I'm multiplying the 2 and the 3, and then I'm going to group these two factors together and look at that as 10 to the 4th times 10 to the 5th. So the commutative property of multiplication tells us that we can switch the order of things around as we multiply and it equal the same thing. So we can do that or associative, either one. So now I'm just going to do 2 times 3, which is 6. And from our exponent unit a couple weeks ago, we learned that 10 to the 4th times 10 to the 5th, if you're multiplying two things that have the same base, you're going to add those exponents. So that would be 10 to the 9th. I'm going to put my multiplication back in there, and that would be the answer for number one. You have to make sure that your answer is in scientific notation, and that means you have to make sure this number is between 1 and 10. A lot of you messed up on that on the assignment for scientific notation. So this number has to be between 1 and 10. 6 is between 1 and 10, so we're good to go. So for number 2, you didn't really need your calculator for number 1, but I would definitely grab a calculator for number 2. I'm going to do 7.3 times 2.4 first. So if you do 7.3 times 2.4, that is going to give you 17.52. And then I'm going to do 10 to the 8th times 10 to the 3rd. So since I'm multiplying powers of 10, I can add the exponents. That's going to be 10 to the 11th, and then I'm going to put my multiplication. Now, this is not incorrect, but it's not in scientific notation because this number is bigger than 10. So in order to write that in scientific notation, I've got to scoot my decimal over one place this way, and when I move it over there, it makes it 1.752. If you move your decimal one place to the left, you've got to add one exponent to that. So the final answer for this would actually be 1.752 times 10 to the 12th. So just again, make sure that you have it in scientific notation. For number 3, I would do 7.2 times 1.82 first, and that would give me 13.104. Again, it's perfectly fine to use a calculator on that. Please do. Then I'm going to do 10 to the 7th times 10 to the 2nd. So I'm going to add 7 and 2 together, and that's going to be 10 to the 9th. Put my multiplication back in there. This is too big. This number cannot be bigger than 10. So I've got to move this decimal one place to the left, and that's going to add one place to my exponent. So my final answer is actually going to be 1.3104 times 10 to the 10th. Anytime you move your decimal, you have to reflect that move in your exponent, okay? So division, the exact same concept, except this time we're dividing. So I'm going to group this like that, and I'm going to divide my two factors, and then I'm going to divide my two powers of 10. So I'm going to do 8 divided by 4, that's 2. I'm going to do 10 to the 7th divided by 10 to the 3rd. We learned a couple of weeks ago in our exponent unit, when you divide numbers that have the same base, you subtract those exponents. So that would be 10 to the 4th. Put your multiplication back in. 2 is between 1 and 10. So I don't have to make any adjustments to that. I can go with it just like that. Number 5, I'm going to group my factors and divide them, and then I'm going to group those, and then I'm going to group my powers of 10 and divide those. 9 divided by 3 is 3. 10 to the 9th divided by 10 to the 6th, I'm going to subtract those exponents. That's going to be 10 to the 3rd. Put my multiplication back in there. That is in scientific notation because this number is between 1 and 10. For number 6, you would actually want to use your calculator for one like number 6. So when you divide 2.144 by 3.2, that's going to give you 0.67 times 10 to the 3rd. Again, I got that by subtracting my 7 and 4. Now, this is not in correct scientific notation because this number as it is right now is too small. This number is smaller than 1. It has to be between 1 and 10. So I'm going to shift my decimal over this time 1 decimal place this way, and that's going to be 6.7. Anytime you move your decimal, you have to reflect that in your exponent. So since I moved my decimal to the right, I'm changing a small number into scientific notation. I actually have to take away an exponent, so that would be 10 to the 2nd. You have, I think, 10 questions on your Canvas assignment, 5 multiplication ones and 5 division ones. Go ahead and round to the nearest 10th if you want to on those. I don't know if I said that in the instructions on the Canvas module. I may go in there and change it. Make sure that you round to the nearest 10th. Come to Zoom if you have any questions. Use your calculator. Look over the notes that I have posted. I miss you guys and hope to see you soon. Bye.